Thanks for your patience, everyone. We'll get started now. I'd like to introduce myself first. My name's Stephen Burns from Ricoh. I run the platforms and tools team here, and that basically covers running all of our infrastructure and applications. With me today is Michelle Dawson from Casaya. She runs the channel team. Firstly, I'd just like to thank you all for taking the time out today to join us. I know we're all busy, and we appreciate you taking the time. I'd just like to go through a couple of quick housekeeping items. There's a questions panel in the GoToMeeting application. So if you have any questions for us that come up, please ask them. We'll be covering those at the end. And I'd like to just go through the agenda as well. What we're going to be covering today is a 2015 survey that Casaya performed. It covered 500 organisations globally to have a look at what problems they're having in IT, where the problems are in their maturity. Out of this, they found 8 key items that kept coming up, and 5 lessons, I guess, on how they can improve that within organisations. To give you a bit of background about Ricoh IT services, people sometimes get surprised when Ricoh is talking about IT services. They think they're a printer company. We actually have a fairly mature IT services offering, covering the full range of the IT spectrum. We do obviously managed IT services, straight up consulting and engineering, also provide cloud services and procurement as well. So we've actually got an entire national business division on IT services. Our maturity goes back about 20 years through various acquisitions. Globally, Ricoh actually has about $3.5 billion US dollars in IT services revenue. It is actually a significant part of the business. I'd just like to also talk about why we're doing this presentation with Casaya today. Casaya have a very, very mature remote management and monitoring tool set, their VSA product. Through the history of Ricoh in Australia, they acquired a couple of different IT services companies, IMC Communications and Inspire IT. Both of those had independently chosen to use Casaya VSA as their main remote monitoring product. And Ricoh globally, internally, also uses this product. The fact that 3 separate organisations with 3 separate brain trusts came to the same decision when they went out to market is a good indicator of how good this product is. Globally, Ricoh uses this product pretty much everywhere. We have 100,000 plus seats and devices that we're monitoring across the world. Recently, Ricoh was actually appointed as Casaya's exclusive platinum partner in Australia, which just gives an indication of exactly how close the relationship is between these 2 organisations. So enough about Ricoh. What I'll do at this point is hand over to Michelle to give you a bit of more background on the Casaya product.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you everyone again for joining. So my role, as Stephen mentioned, is the Channel Sales Manager at Casaya. So let me tell you a little bit about who Casaya are. Casaya, as Stephen mentioned, is a remote monitoring and management tool. So what Casaya actually allows mid-sized enterprises and IT organisations such as yourself is it gives you the capability to command your whole entire infrastructure centrally. So that's a single pane of glass. It allows you to manage, everything remotely, so it saves you travel time and dealing with things on site. Not only that, but Casaya allows you to automate your entire IT processes. So that gives you a little bit of extra time back in the day. So let me talk about the challenge that you're currently facing, and I'm sure this is what you would expect. So with IT moving at such a rapid pace, we're finding new challenges every day. So you've got different types of applications that are hosted on-premise, in the cloud. You've got hybrid cloud, public cloud. You've got the different operating systems. So there's a huge complexity in terms of how you can manage your data, your devices. So what Casaya does is it gives you a bit more visibility. So what we did is we looked at getting some feedback from our customers. So Casaya, as Stephen mentioned, conducted a global survey. We surveyed 500 customers globally to understand where they're sitting in terms of their IT maturity model. So what we found is that progressing through the maturity model leads to a more capable IT organisation that is better equipped with its missions, in which turn allows you to drive more business. So we defined these maturity levels in 5. So they are reactive, efficient, proactive, aligned and strategic. So what we're going to talk about today is some key findings that we uncovered through the survey responses and give you a little bit of insight as to where you may sit along these 5 models. So first and foremost, the first key finding was that only 11% consider their IT department to be at that aligned or strategic maturity level. That means that 89% of respondents are primarily focused on their internal IT challenges as opposed to what the business challenges are or their customers' needs. So with that second key finding, what we found is bigger doesn't necessarily mean better. So what does that mean to you? So what it means is that we found no correlation between the size of the business and the maturity level. So of course, larger organisations will have more resources, but with size comes complexity. So number 3 is going to be no surprise, I'm sure. What we saw was constant feedback from the first 3 levels of the model. However, the aligned and strategic group said that their biggest challenge was improving their company's customer experience or their employees' productivity. So I know which one you'd probably rather focus on. So the 4th key finding was that automation is underutilised. So 59% of respondents said that they use automation, yet there is a huge disparity in terms of how many devices each technician is managing. So with those with extensive automation, we're able to support thousands per head, while others are reporting managing less than 500. So there's a huge gap there, right? So what this suggests is that automation may be only being utilised for selected tasks rather than a widespread approach. And so what we're looking to achieve is how we can enable that widespread approach and give you some time back in your day. So measurement matters. So number 5 refers to formal SLAs or service level agreements. So what we found was that 2/3 of businesses in the aligned or strategic level, which again is at that higher end, have formal SLAs, with only half of those being mandatory requirements and the other 40% being monitoring service levels, so just guidelines really. So on the other hand, those companies positioned lower on the spectrum or at that reactive level have formal SLAs, which are really only just for guidelines. So at the end of the day, if you're implementing those service level agreements, you really want to have the capacity to meet them and provide that level of service to your clients and your internal departments. With number 6, strategy drives cloud adoption. So we found that companies at that aligned or strategic level were approximately 60% more likely to adopt cloud-based applications. And with cloud-based applications comes a little bit of flexibility. So not only applications, but infrastructure. And those at the 60% more than the reactive level. So there's a huge gap there. The more mature IT organisations have that flexibility, right? So then if they're looking at a hybrid offering or a private cloud offering or a public cloud offering, they've got that flexibility to move between the models that better suits their business requirements. So the last two key findings that we found from our survey are personally what I consider to be the most important. So we found that the IT maturity directly correlates with revenue growth. So, and that's what we're all here for, right? We're all here to make money. So we found that the IT maturity directly correlates, and then we found that 36% of businesses with greater than 10% year-on-year growth in 2012 sat in that aligned or strategic level. So that's a huge growth, really, for consistent year-on-year growth, and that shows that the more mature they are as a business, the more likelihood they've got at that year-on-year growth. And then finally, we found the more mature you are as an organisation, the greater control you have, which is what we all want, right? So how are you going to gain control of your internal infrastructure? How are you going to see that visibility? So the solution is Casaya. So Casaya will enable you to take command of your whole IT infrastructure or your clients, and it will allow you to manage remotely. So we all talk about remote management, but I'm going to actually show you how you can be a little bit more proactive, which will allow you to move up those maturity levels. Not only that, but we want to automate those mundane tasks, those repetitive tasks that your system administrators are spending their whole day doing. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insight now. So Casaya's VSA function, that's our virtual system administrator. So like all the other acronyms in IT, the system administrator does what it says. It's basically giving you a system administrator, but it's a tool that gives the guys that you've got on the ground more time back to be doing the projects that you hired them for. Not just doing these tasks, this reporting, spending hours a day doing the same thing, checking that your tools are working and all of that. So let me talk about the VSA. So what does the VSA encompass? So you can see from inside the graph here that it encompasses on-prem and cloud infrastructure, on-prem apps or cloud apps, endpoints, the Internet of Things, which I consider the new buzzword for 2015, as well as mobility, so that's bring your own device, mobile device management, etc. So let me talk about how we do that. So first, the VSA gives you the capability to do your asset discovery. So you might sit there and think, I've got X devices, but is that actually what you've got connecting into your network? So what Casaya will do, will deploy an agent into the network, and from that agent, it will go out and discover what's connected to that network. So that gives you that inventory functionality. From there, we'll go out and deploy agents across. Once we've got the agents in the network, we've got the functionality to do that reporting and monitoring. So on the monitoring side, we've got the capability to do Windows monitoring, like Windows event logs or Windows service logs, as well as Casaya network monitoring. So that gives you that functionality and visibility to all your network devices, so they don't necessarily have to have an agent on it. So Casaya gives you that agent-based monitoring as well as agentless for those network devices. From there, we can give you that proactive reporting functionality. So within the Casaya console, we've got my favourite report is an executive report, and this is a two-pager that you can give to your reports, or sorry, your managers, or your clients, or whoever you're servicing, and say, this is what I've done, and this is the results that I'm getting. And really, what it's doing is showing what a great job you're doing, and that's what we all want. So from there, we can do, with the agents deployed, we can do patch management. So we can do Windows patch management, which is one of the modules within the Casaya console, but we've also got the functionality to do third-party patch management. We have an integration with Nine. So then we've got the endpoint management. So what do I mean by endpoint management? Well, I mean defragging, doing that, the antivirus. We've got functionality with antivirus as well. Doing, disk space. How are your clients actually performing on their endpoint? So from there, we've got the automation. So automation is really what's going to unlock that time in your day. So with the automation, we can build any IT process. From there, we've also got built-in remediation. So unlike other businesses, it's not just one step. Using our agent procedures module, you can do multiple touch remediation. So you might think Casaya for a remote control, remote access tool, but really that's a reactive activity. What I want to enable you to do is be more proactive. So that's why we do the automation and built-in remediation. But if all else fails, you've got that remote access. So Casaya has its own proprietary remote control. We're one of the fastest in the world. Within country, you can connect to a remote device within 3 seconds. Globally, it's up to 6 seconds, but let me tell you, I've used it myself. It's almost instant. So with that remote control functionality, you can do private sessions. Where there's that full remote control so the end user can see exactly what you're doing. We can, do the private sessions where it logs out the user to that Alt Control Delete screen, or we've got great functionality with Live Connect. So what Live Connect does is it allows the technician back-end access to the endpoint with no disruption to the end user. And that allows you to access the command line or do file transfers or apply agent procedures. So all of that's fantastic. But how do you do all of that once and then deploy multiple? That's where policy management comes in, and policy management is the kicker. So you can build everything I just talked about into a policy, and then you build it once and you deploy it multiple times. So therefore, if you have a new device that joins the network, you can just go out and apply the policy that you've already built. So I hope that gives you a bit of insight into what the VSA does. That is very high level, but we just wanted to give you a little bit of a taste. So let's talk about complete visibility. At the end of the day, you want a tool that's got a single pane of glass where you can manage your entire infrastructure through that. So the great thing is that all these vendors have created plugins. So they've created software applications that plug into the Casaya console, which appears as a module within our console, and that allows you to monitor what those applications are doing from within the Casaya console. So let me talk about the 5 top lessons that we found and how we can maybe help you get more done in your day. So the first lesson is it's never too late. I talk to IT technicians all the time, and you know what they always say to me? I've got no time. I don't even have time to look at the VSA, or I don't have time to do my reporting, or I don't have time to service my clients for what they're asking for. They've never got enough time. They're overworked. But it's never too late. If you get VSA in your infrastructure, within days you will have time back. Automate your workload. Get rid of those mundane tasks. Get rid of that repetitive nature of your business. Get hours back in your day. I've talked to technicians that were spending 2 days per client on reporting. Casaya automates that for them. So think about how much your technicians are costing per hour, times that by 2, per client, times that by 52, and that gives you some ROI on what Casaya can give you back in your day. Track your performance. So how well do you know what you're doing? So we spoke about those SLAs. Are you meeting them? What kind of percentage hit rate are you hitting? Well, track that. With Casaya, you can do that. You can use that reporting functionality that I talked about. You can deliver that executive report to the C-suite or to your clients or whoever you're servicing, and show them what kind of benefit you're providing them. That's going to make things a lot stickier. It's going to give you that peace of mind as well, and give you something also to report back on so that you can see that week-on-week improvement or that quarter-on-quarter or year-on-year improvement. And achieve efficiency with consolidation. So if you're looking at 10 tools, you're going to miss, the likelihood is that you're going to miss something. You're not going to see something, or you might forget to do something on one of those applications. How do you overcome that? That single pane of glass, that complete visibility, that proactive nature, moving into that aligned or a strategic maturity level. Once you get there, you can achieve the outcomes that you're looking for internally and for your clients. So how do you see this for yourself? So you can download a trial of Casaya. We do 14-day trials. The great thing with the trials is it talks you through the trial. So it will say, click on this, do this, watch this video. But you've got Ricoh. Ricoh is our platinum partner within Region. They're fantastic. Like Stephen said, they use our software internally, so they know the best practices about Casaya, and they can definitely talk you through that and even demo that for you. If we'll be sending out this this deck to you, but if you're looking at a trial now, all you need to do is type into Google Casaya VSA trial, and it'll be the first link that comes up. So now I'll hand over back to Stephen.
Thanks for that, Michelle. That was all great information. A lot of those key findings are things that we actually see at our customers all the time, and we use the Casaya technology to help them evolve up that maturity stack. As an organisation moves into that aligned or strategic level, the IT department becomes a key business enabler, adding significant value to all areas of the business rather than just being a tool that gets consumed. For me, the greatest benefit of Casaya is the automation and remediation functionality. Being able to come in the morning and be notified that, hey, we had 15 alerts overnight, and we've already automatically fixed 10 of those for you. For the other ones, here's a bunch of information we've already collected. For instance, if we got an alert on low disk space on a server, we can build an automatic script which goes out, collects information on the tree structure, and will automatically show you the 10 largest files and the 3 folders of consuming data. That means that when our technician looks at that ticket, 20 minutes of his work is already done, and giving that time back to him is absolutely amazing. Now we'll move on to cover some of the questions asked during the webinar. Please feel free to keep asking questions, and we'll try and cover everything that comes up. Paul's asked, with the mobility solution Casaya offers, what exactly does that cover?
It's a great question. So we mentioned mobility as being one of the key challenges businesses are facing today. So integrating with the VSA is Casaya's enterprise mobility management tool. So it fully integrates, which gives you visibility to that mobile workforce that you've got. So with the enterprise mobility suite, it encompasses BYOD and that mobile device management. I hope that answers that question, Paul.
Matt's asked, so how do we actually go about organising a demo rather than a trial?
Yeah, sure. So with a demo, like I mentioned, Ricoh does fantastic demos. So I'd probably suggest that you reach out to your Ricoh rep, and if you're unsure as to which contact you should contact, I believe we're about to share the Ricoh details for you. So yeah, by all means do that, and if you like, feel free to contact me directly as well.
And Mitch has asked, how's this actually licensed out to VSA license?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Casaya licenses on a subscription model, so that's per annum. That being said, we do an annual upfront payment model or a per month, so depending on what suits your needs.
And just one more question from Judy. Is VSA available as a cloud service or is it on-site? How does it actually work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've got both options. So we've got a SaaS option, which our data centre is located in the UK, or we've got on-premises.
Excellent. And one more. This is from Rajan. How do you differentiate this product with Microsoft Intune?
Intune. I've not personally come across Microsoft Intune, to be honest. Could you please elaborate? Look, maybe we can connect personally offline and speak about that a little bit more.
Yeah, one thing I will say about VSA, the thing that I really like about it as well is that they bring in all these third-party modules, which brings it all into the same console and the same reporting. Other organisations are able to write their own module to integrate into VSA. So you can have a plugin for Semantic Backup Exec, you can have a plugin for Veeam, and a number of others that were listed in one of the earlier slides. And that allows you to monitor all that and apply policies on what happens with those systems, all through the one console, and also integrate them all into one set of reports. For us, it's pretty much the only tool we go in and look at, and everything comes off the back of that.
Yeah, one thing I will say in terms of how we differentiate to Microsoft, I haven't actually heard of that particular tool, but and this goes for other vendors as well, is Casaya is really agile, and the reason being is because we're agent-based, we don't require on-premise infrastructure. If you go with the on-premise option, of course you're going to need you know, a SQL server and a Windows server to support the application. But for that SaaS platform, in order for us to have visibility to the devices, all we need is an internet connection, and that's it, right? So you don't have to be connected to a network. So it really gives you that mobility. So if you've got a mobile workforce, as a technician, you can still do updates or whatever you need, patches and everything for that mobile workforce. You don't need to wait for them to come back and join the network.
And one more question from Sam. Is the licensing per device with the mobility module?
Yeah, it is. It's per device. We are actually looking to move to a per user. So, but that's scheduled to happen early next year.
Excellent. All right, that's all the questions we've got at the moment. If there's any more, please feel free to contact us moving forward. So, contact us. Easiest way to get in touch with Ricoh is to either, if you've got an existing Ricoh rep, contact them, but otherwise call us on 13 Ricoh, and we'll arrange an appointment with one of our specialists. We'll also send you all a link to a copy of the recording of this webinar, plus an ebook on the results of the IT operations survey.
And like I mentioned as well, at the beginning of the webinar, we listed both Stephen's and my contact details. So please feel free to reach out to either of us if later in the day or something you have additional questions that you'd like answered. We hope that you've enjoyed the webinar. Thank you very much for your time.
Yep. As well, I'd also like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day. Thank you very much, and look forward to potentially working with you in the future.